Her friends and her family, not influencers, but normal people she knew, were slapping down literally thousands of dollars on their coffee table saying, I made all this money in 5 days and you can do it too. The fundamental claim and lie of a pyramid scheme is that we're all in this together, and if we all work really hard and make a few sacrifices, we can help each other and we can achieve our dreams. So shut up, give me your $400 and make a goddamn vision board.
If you'd like to earn CPE credit for listening to this episode, visit earmarkcpe.com. Download the app, take a short quiz, and get your CPE certificate. Continuing education has never been so easy. And now, on to the episode.
Hello and welcome to Oh My Fraud, a true crime podcast where the pyramids are built by sleazy hucksters instead of aliens. I'm Caleb Newquist.
And I'm Greg Kyte. We want to get right into the episode, but first, please take a second to write us a review, even if it's just your favorite swear word and 5 stars. That would be awesome. We would read that on an episode if it was just like, fuck, 5 stars. It's on. So do that. I'm just saying, the reviews have kind of slowed down. We need your help.
Right. I mean, even if it was, God damn it, and it was 4, I'd be like, oh, that's fine.
Yeah. Still worth putting on the episode.
Absolutely. Okay, and also reminder that we do in-house training and keynote addresses at events and conferences. So if you want information on pricing and availability, send us an email at ohmyfraud@earmarkcpe.com.
Awesome. So Caleb, getting into it.
Yeah.
You know of MLMs, multi-level marketing companies.
Yes.
And I want to know what has been the intersection of your life and multi-level marketing companies? Have you ever been in one? Has a friend or family member ever been one? Have you ever been pitched to join one? What's been your experience with the MLM world?
Funny you should ask, Greg, because I have an exciting opportunity for our listeners.
Jesus, please.
No.
This is the last Oh My Fraud episode. We have a new Oh My Fraud supplement brand.
Supplements brand.
And you can become a distributor for just a simple buy-in of $1,500.
Yeah, I've got a few stories. The one I'll tell is about when I was in college, and I was working as a line cook in a Tex-Mex restaurant.
Okay.
It was a fun job. Lots of cool people worked there. And one of these cool people was a guy that I was pretty friendly with, but I wouldn't say we were friends. Just, friendly, and maybe would have a beer occasionally after work. But not close by any means. But in any case, I don't really remember why, but he approached me once to say that he had a business opportunity for me. And if you're not watching on video, I'm doing the scare quotes right now. And I didn't know what to make of that, but I was intrigued enough, and he was dating somebody that I was interested in. So I figured this was a good way to get closer to this young woman.
I'll hear your weird sales pitch as long as I can swoop in on your girl.
Right.
Nice.
Precisely.
Nice.
But I just figured this was a decent way to get closer to her, even though if I had no chance of the swoop in.
Okay.
But anyway, so I go to his apartment, and I don't really remember who was all there. I don't even remember if the girl I was interested in was there.
Okay.
So already,
right, because this is
my plan is falling apart.
She's already gotten the pitch. She's like, pass. This is horrible.
Right.
So,
anyway, so he starts telling me about the opportunity. And it soon becomes clear that I was going to have to turn around and convince other people of this opportunity.
Yeah,
even though I didn't, it took me a while to fully understand like what it was. And I thought of this earlier today, Greg, but I may have been high. So imagine the interior monologue that's going on.
Wait, I like this. Just going back, dude, come to my place. We'll light up a couple,
totally,
and then we'll talk about how we're gonna achieve financial independence.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, to the best of my recollection, it was really kind of filled with kind of the stereotypical kind of multi-level marketing scripts, like financial independence, being your own boss, setting your own hours, the opportunity to make lots of money, and say, oh, well, I don't know about those pyramid schemes business, but what I can tell you about this is blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it was just, the whole thing was weird. And I managed to weasel my way out of there without committing to anything. And I felt good about not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because
we're relieved.
Yeah, relieved. Because it was just like one of those things where, like, the whole notion of me trying to have to recruit. Look, Greg, we know, everyone knows Greg's kind of like a journey with religion. I grew up in the church also, but I abandoned it at a relatively young age. About the time Greg was going in deep, I was getting the hell out. And so I remember being a young person, and I went to like an evangelical for the 80s, not evangelical today. It's a totally different thing. Feels like it's a totally different thing.
Yeah, it's pretty
But in
different.
those days, like, it was the evangelical kind of like, denominations were still pretty like, hey, you get out there and you tell other people about Jesus. And from the jump, I don't know the first time I remember hearing about people like grown adults, like telling like a child, like, you go out there and tell people about Jesus. That freaked me the fuck out. And so, like, for all of my like youth and into my early adulthood, the notion of like taking something that I was already unsure about and going to tell other people about it, that was fucking scary as shit. And nothing I wanted to do with. And so the notion that the business opportunity was essentially the same thing, no fucking thank you. Like, there was nothing about it that interested me at all. Riches or no riches or whatever. I just, I was like, nope, that does not sound like something I want to do.
Well, the reason we're talking about MLMs is because today's episode is all about pyramid schemes, and many multi-level marketing companies are absolutely pyramid schemes. Ponzi schemes are pyramid schemes, but what a lot of people aren't aware of is that there are very, very dangerous, pure, quintessential pyramid schemes that target vulnerable communities during vulnerable times.
As you probably know, all Ponzi schemes are pyramid schemes, but not all pyramid schemes are Ponzi schemes. We've covered a lot of Ponzi schemes on this podcast, from our second episode where we covered Joel Steinger and the Mutual Benefits Corporation.
Still one of my favorite episodes ever.
What was that insurance product again, Greg?
Viatical settlements.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
wow.
where you're buying somebody's life insurance policy from them and just hoping they'll die.
Yeah. Well, not hoping, waiting.
Well, but hoping, because the sooner they die, the more the
sooner
quicker
you get the money.
The less. Yeah, there you go.
Right. And as recently as episode 57, where we covered Darren Berg and the Meridian Group, along with several in between. Like we said earlier, there are at least two other types of pyramid schemes: multi-level marketing organizations, as well as pure quintessential pyramid schemes. But before we get to those, we're going to give a quick refresher on what a pyramid scheme is and why they are bad.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people don't understand that.
Like, I agree with you completely. Yeah,
because some people are like, it's a pyramid scheme because the organizational chart looks like a pyramid.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, but all org charts look like pyramids, so that's not what makes a pyramid.
Pretty sure the federal government is a pyramid. Right? Pyramid shaped.
Right,
yep,
exactly.
I believe it is. Yeah.
So I think it's important.
It is. So a pyramid scheme is a system of making money where the primary source of income comes from recruiting new people into the system rather than legitimate investment income or legitimate sales of products or services. So that's why a Ponzi scheme qualifies as a pyramid scheme. Bernie Madoff told people that he would invest their money and that they should receive a return of 10 to 12% per year. But he didn't invest the money. He stole the money. But he still paid people the 10 to 12% that he promised, and he did that by getting new investors. But instead of investing their money, he used it to pay what he promised to prior investors. I mean, he stole some of it, and he used some of it to pay what he promised to prior investors.
If it's not obvious why this is bad, it's because it's unsustainable. I mean, there's also the stealing, so that's bad too.
Yes, the stealing.
Yeah, but listen, even if Bernie Madoff didn't take any of the money, his investment company still would have imploded, and lots of people would have still lost lots of money. Because let's just do a thought experiment, Caleb.
Okay.
Let's say that we want to start a benign Ponzi scheme. So
wait, a benign Ponzi scheme?
Yeah, a benign Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
So we're not taking any of the money for ourselves.
Okay.
We're not. There's no stealing involved in this at all.
Oh.
So yeah. So that
is a
part's
benign Ponzi scheme.
So yeah, we're just trying to help people here. And
well,
so
I think if you follow the definition of benign, just not harmful, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Not helping, just not harmful.
Okay. All right.
You see the distinction there?
I do see. So what's a better term than benign? A benevolent Ponzi scheme.
Okay.
All right. Too far the other way? Probably, yeah. But listen, here's what I mean by that.
Okay.
So we're not stealing any money, but let's say we start off with an initial investor who gives us $1 million.
Okay.
And we promise that we're going to give them an 11% return every year. Okay. Over the next 24 years, we would need to get $10 million more invested with us just to pay the 24 years of promised returns. And I'm not just talking promised returns to the original investor, but any new investor is also going to want those same returns.
Sure.
So we'd need $10 million more dollars over 20 years just to pay out the 11% to everyone that we've promised 11% to.
Okay.
And realize that at the end of that, the $10 million additional that we got is gone. We don't have it. That's what we paid that out to everybody as the return. We still have that original $1 million. That didn't get touched. But the other 10 million, so we should be sitting on $11 million at least, but we're sitting on $1 million. And that's it. So, and we did pay those returns to our investors, but yeah, we only have the one asset. And you might be thinking, well, if you could get $1 million in your first year, then it shouldn't be too hard for us to get $10 million over the next 24 years. And you're probably right, especially if we're given consistent 11% returns. We could probably get another $10 million in.
Yeah.
But what you're forgetting is that in those 24 years, no one can withdraw more than $1 million. So nobody can cash. It's like your money comes in and it never goes out, but you get these 11% returns. And for anyone who does withdraw anything more than $1 million, that means we got to raise even more new investor money to cover any withdrawals that happen. And then we'd have to still raise more to cover that 11% from the investors, right? Are you with me?
I am.
Perfect. So we begin our Ponzi scheme, and it's going to work out great, as we just discussed. This is our benign/benevolent Ponzi scheme.
Can't lose.
Is going to crush it as long as people are eternally happy with 11% return and nobody ever wants to withdraw any money. Then we're great, right?
Yeah.
No, wrong, wrong.
Shoot. Oh,
because
gosh.
it's totally fucking unsustainable. Because even if no one ever withdrew your money, I did the math. After 127 years, which is a long time.
It's a long time.
It's a long time. But after 127 years, you would need the entire wealth of the entire world invested in our pyramid scheme just to pay the returns.
Wow.
So
That's
the
a
next
lot.
year, and the next, so let's say we hit year 126. The entire wealth of the world is invested in our Ponzi scheme, but we paid it all out to everybody. Then year 127, there's no more money.
The money's
to give
gone.
To we can't get 11% more than the entire wealth of the world invested back into the Ponzi scheme. So at that point, our Ponzi scheme implodes, and everybody at, if they're 11%, if you've been making 11% for 126 years,
Yep.
and in year 127 you make 0%, you're gonna be like, hey, I think I want my money back.
Yeah.
And even though we collected, and this is the entire wealth of the world right now, $450 trillion, all we have in the bank, because it's a benign/benevolent Ponzi scheme,
Yes.
all we got in the bank is $1 million. So we ain't got your money. So the Ponzi scheme fails, and everybody who's invested at that point is going, where's my $450 trillion? And we're like, it's not here.
So let's move on from Ponzi schemes to multi-level marketing companies.
Yeah, let's do it. I hate those mofos.
Some of them are unquestionably legit.
Yeah.
Tupperware, for example, is a multi-level marketing company. Even today, in the age of online shopping, the majority of Tupperware's sales come from independent distributors throwing Tupperware parties.
Which is bizarre.
Amazing.
Yeah, right?
God.
If you listen, Caleb, if you were like, we need some Tupperware around my house,
Yeah.
how would you pursue Tupperware?
I don't know. Go to the
what would you
Container
do?
Store? I think I'd go to the Container Store.
I just go to like Amazon and type in Tupperware.
Is that what
Or
I'm doing? Oh,
I'd go to Tupperware.com or something like that. I had no idea that Tupperware.
Yeah, I
parties
mean,
were
Bed
still
Bath
a
and
thing.
Beyond is out of business, so that's not an
Right.
option.
Right. So
Anyway, all right. Tupperware is an MLM, but it has great products, and it's always been focused on the product, not on recruiting new distributors. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because even, I mean, you've never been to a Tupperware party, have you?
I mean, I was probably a kid. I mean, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
my mom probably dragged me along. Yeah.
I don't remember ever going to one, but I do remember that it seemed like people legitimately enjoyed just going to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's because everybody needed a new piece of Tupperware, so go and get the thing.
And there
you
was
need.
probably snacks.
And there was probably snacks. There was probably booze.
Yeah,
It was probably a really good
It was
time.
probably fun.
But you know what? And this is just an assumption. I'm going out on a limb here, but I got to assume there wasn't some high pressure sales pitch to start your own Tupperware, to become a distributor of
Right.
Tupperware.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, just picking up from what our discussion here, I doubt any of those, Tupperware ladies wanted to recruit too many, because then they'd have more competition.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. When you see a 7-Eleven across the street from another 7-Eleven, you're like, this is probably a bad decision on the part of 7-Eleven corporate. And Tupperware ladies were probably the same thing.
Right.
That was the thing. Now that you mention it, I think the way that most Tupperware ladies did it was, instead of trying to recruit people to become new distributors, they tried to talk friends into letting them host a Tupperware party, and would give them like a cut or a taste, or would just be like, it'd be fun for, I'll throw a party for you and your friends. Just let me do the Tupperware thing. So, and I think that's kind of how they extended their reach rather than trying to get new distributors.
Right. In contrast, there's Amway, right?
Yeah.
Amway is not Tupperware.
No.
Amway is known for pushing recruitment harder than the sales of its product.
That's absolutely when Tupperware is fun. Amway is like buckle. Amway and like timeshare sales pitches are kind of on the same level.
Yeah. Can you, Greg? Can you tell me anything that Amway sells?
Like a specific product?
Yeah, like
that
a
they
product.
Sell?
Yeah.
No.
Right. Because Amway isn't known for its products. As a result of this focus on distributors and recruitment, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, brought charges against Amway, but in 1979, they ruled that Amway was not a pyramid scheme.
Okay.
But the ruling was the origin of what's called the 70% rule. And here's how Forbes magazine describes the 70% rule. For an MLM to be compliant, it must adhere to the 70% rule that at least 70% of all goods sold must be purchased by non-distributors. That means consumers outside the company need to be buying the majority of a company's products rather than downstream in the distributor network or with the distributors themselves stocking up on inventory. But the 70% rule is incredibly hard to track. The only reason a distributor would stock up on inventory in their garage would be to sell it to people outside the company. And since distributors are generally not trained in accounting or inventory management, when they're asked if 70% of their products were sold to outsiders, they'll probably just say, yep. And the MLM takes them at their word.
Caleb, as you know, I live in Provo, Utah.
Yes.
Which, according to a nature documentary I watched, is the natural breeding ground for the North American MLM.
Oh, it's native.
Yeah,
it's native to Provo, Utah.
It's at least maybe it's an invasive species. It's hard to really tell what it is. But from what I understand, I mean, obviously, I haven't been in an MLM myself, but here in Utah, apparently, MLM also stands for Mormons losing money.
Oh.
That's how pervasive it is. And interesting fact, since 2018, there have been about 70 MLMs operating in Utah.
Wow.
Arguably, the most notorious of those include doTERRA, which is an essential oils company, LuLaRoe, which is a women's clothing company, Young Living, which is another essential oils company, and NuSkin, which is a beauty and wellness company. Have you heard of any of those four companies before this very moment?
I have heard of LuLaRoe and I have heard of NuSkin. Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Argue the doTERRA.
And I have heard of essential oil. I mean, essential oils. Essential oils, I feel like, is 21st century snake oil.
Yeah,
right?
it
like
is. It really is.
Essentially is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing, that the doTERRA essential oils people, I think in my mind, they're the most annoying. It's like those are the ones where I'd be like,
so
please,
I'm
please
really
stop.
missing out.
Please stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
But of those four, I and again, it's hard to really make a apples to apples comparison of these guys, but I'd say NuSkin is arguably maybe the worst of the batch.
Oh, nice.
They're a real piece of work. During the Great Recession, NuSkin's stock price jumped from $9 per share up to $54 per share because pyramid schemes tend to thrive when the economy's in the toilet. NuSkin has battled numerous claims that it's a predatory pyramid scheme. Here's what they said about NuSkin in a Mother Jones article. They said, in one 1991 case, a former NuSkin distributor in California filed a class action lawsuit asserting that as many as 100,000 people lost $75 million by signing up with the company. NuSkin settled in 1992 and gave the distributors $16 million in refunds for merchandise that they were sitting on. A group of Canadian distributors brought a case against NuSkin that was settled in 2001 with a similar outcome. In 1994, the Federal Trade Commission cracked down on NuSkin for making false claims about its products, including weight loss supplements and baldness cures, and misrepresenting what new distributors can earn. Later that year, NuSkin signed a consent order with the FTC promising not to engage in false advertising and to cease misleading potential distributors. But 3 years later, NuSkin paid $1.5 million in civil penalties for violating that orders. And not to give too much away, Caleb, but if you have to pay $1.5 million for violating your don't be a pyramid scheme order, then you're a fucking pyramid scheme.
You certainly are. Yes. Yeah.
Case closed.
Yeah.
That 1994 order also required that NuSkin disclose the average earnings of its distributors, which in 2010 was $119 a month. That was the average earnings of all of the NuSkin distributors in 2010, and that doesn't even factor in the cost borne by NuSkin distributors. Like the initial buy-in for distributor starter pack back in 2010 was around $1,200. So your first 10 months of average earnings would basically get you to break even for your $1,200 starter pack. And Caleb, just curious, how hard do you think you would work for an extra $120 a month?
I'm imagining that this is no fewer than 10 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. I bet you could do less than 10 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, if you work 20 hours in a month, you're making less than minimum wage for your NuSkin distributorship. So, I mean, and minimum wage is garbage anyways.
Yeah.
And a lot of these folks work as much for that $120 as they do at their full-time jobs. And that's because the sales pitch is that with enough hard work, they could make $10,000 per month.
Okay, Greg, let's say you were presented with an opportunity to turn $1,400 into $11,200 in just a few weeks. Does it sound too good to be true?
That absolutely sounds too good to be true.
Does it sound too good to be true if a family member was able to do it already?
Well, no, then it wouldn't seem too good to be true because it was true for someone.
Yes.
It at least seemed more reasonable.
Right. So if you're able to turn $1,400 into $11,200 in just a few weeks, would you try to do it again?
So like if it worked for me once, would I try making it work again?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
And
yeah.
Okay. And would you tell other people about the opportunity?
Would I? It depends on if that would mess up my chance of it working for me.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair.
I might be stingy if I maybe just showed that I'm a worthless piece of shit that doesn't care about anybody else except me.
Right.
So yeah.
All right. So it's the pandemic. You're scared. Everybody's scared. You hear about a faith-based wealth-building organization called Blessings in No Time.
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do is give a gift of $1,400 to someone on what's called a blessing loom. By doing so, you get a spot on a blessings loom and then get two other people to give gifts of $1,400.
Okay.
Then all you have to do is wait, because your two people would collectively recruit 4 people, 2 each, and then those 4 people would collectively recruit 8 people, still 2 each for everybody. And who receives the gift from those 8 people? You do, Greg.
Me?
Yes. It's that easy. Praise the Lord.
Yeah. So I just give a gift of $1,400.
Yes.
To somebody. So basically I'm one of 8 people giving a gift of $1,400 to some rando.
Yes.
And then by spreading the good news about Blessings in No Time, then eventually 8 people will give me those gifts.
That's right.
And I just gave $1,400, but I ended up getting $1,400 times 8, which is that $11,200.
Yes. If you give
Amazing.
a gift of $1,400 in faith and have patience and share the good news of the blessing loom, you will be blessed 8-fold. The problem, as Greg well knows, is the math.
Math always gets you.
After 33 cycles of one person recruiting 2 more people, you run out of people on Earth to join.
That seems, because
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because there's
crazy.
8 billion people on Earth.
Yeah.
And it only
ballpark. Yeah.
Yeah, and so right, isn't it? What is it?
I don't know.
Is it more? Yeah, I guess. Yeah, 8 billion.
8.1.
8.1. So 33 of just going from one person to 2 people, 33 layers down, it's everybody on the whole damn planet. That's the counterintuitiveness of exponential growth.
Right.
Really.
Absolutely. So, Blessings in No Time was a quintessential pyramid scheme. And in real life, it takes far fewer than 33 cycles for this quintessential pyramid scheme to collapse. The big winners are, of course, the people who organize them. Because when you think about it, the first people on the loom don't have anyone ahead of them to give their money to. So they have zero financial outlay before they start to receive their blessings.
Right. So they're not given a gift.
No.
To
They're
receive
just collecting
the
money.
gifts. They're just receiving gifts.
Yes.
But what they give to people is the opportunity
That's right.
to participate. Yeah.
That's right.
Nice.
The organizers of Blessings in No Time were Marlon Moore, a.k.a. Prosper DJ, and his wife LaShonda Moore. Their pyramid scheme targeted the African American community during the pandemic. Eventually, people stopped getting their $11,200 payout and couldn't get a refund for the $1,400 gift they gave. All told, around 8,000 people were scammed in Texas and around the country. But if you do the math, if 8,000 people were scammed, that means 1,000 octupled their money.
Right. So
Yeah.
1,000 people actually got blessed in no time or in minimal time.
Well, they must have been right with the Lord.
Yeah, those are the ones who had a real relationship
Yeah.
with their heavenly Father.
Yeah, with the Lord and Savior. Okay. A grand jury found the Moores guilty of wire fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and money laundering. Although they each faced up to 50 years in prison, they received no jail time. But they were ordered to pay $10.7 million of restitution.
Oof. That's a lot of
a
lot
lot.
of restitution. I personally didn't know anything about quintessential pyramid schemes until my fiance got caught up in one during the pandemic, Caleb.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She succumbed to the...
Well,
she
she
what?
didn't succumb. No, it's great.
Oh.
Well, first off, just so for the listeners, my fiance's name is Crystal. We're getting married in September in Hawaii. She's amazing. It's gonna be rad. But anyways, one day during the pandemic, Crystal gets home from work and tells me about how her cousin bought her into a blessings board. And my first question was, what is a blessings
Right.
board?
That's my first question.
Yeah, because I had no idea. And so she explained that in a blessing board, she had to give a gift of $400 to someone ahead of her on the blessing board. But then after 8 people came onto the board after her, she would end up cashing out with $3,200. So the idea is you gave a gift of $400 to somebody else. Later on, 8 people are going to give a gift of $400 to you. 8 times 400, $3,200. That's how the math works. But here was the thing. She didn't get herself tangled up in this. Her cousin actually paid the $400 for her because her cousin was already in with the blessings board thing. All that Crystal had to do was pay him back after she cashed out. And if she never cashed out, she didn't have to pay anything back to this guy. The only kind of catch was that she needed to like hype it up on social media because the whole idea was to get 8 more people on the board. And I've got to assume the cousin's motivation was he's just out of friends and family to try to talk into, right? Being on the board. So he's like,
Thanks, cuz.
Exactly. But no, that's the thing. I think that the cousin thought it was like just a legit generous thing to do. Kind of this will help you because you'll be able to cash out. It'll help me because I need some more people in behind me to get me to cash out. So
what I need you to do is annoy all of your Facebook friends. That's what I need you to do.
Yeah, well, see, sort of, because that's the other thing. Because Crystal also showed me some Instagram stories of these people that were slapping down, I swear, thousands of dollars in cash, like on their coffee table, while explaining what they did and how they did it. Like they were just like slapping stack after stack of cash on the coffee table going, I made all this money in 5 days and you can do it too. That kind of, I mean, and it was crazy because these people, they weren't strangers even. That wasn't just like a rando on Instagram. They were members of Crystal's family. So it's like people that she knew. So she had zero financial risk. She didn't have to put out any money. Her cousin did that for her. And the way it played out, in like 2 weeks, she netted the $2,800 so that she got the $3,200, paid her cousin back. She got her $2,800. But because of her social media posts, one of my buddies from college, who is still a close friend of mine, he sent in $400 to get on the blessings board. But check this out. After like 1 week, the dude got cold feet and he like demanded to get his money back from these relatives. Because like I said, it was he only saw it because he follows Crystal on social media, but he didn't really, it wasn't one of those things like Crystal where it's like, well, this is like, these are family members. For him, he just paid it to an absolute stranger and had no idea. And then he's like going, oh, I made a bad idea. Give me my money back. And weirdly enough, they sent him his money back. That was very unexpected for me.
Gosh, I didn't realize. I most pyramid schemes, you would think the no backsies was like totally. That's the standard operating procedure. There's no backsies.
Part of the contract.
Yeah,
they don't have contracts, but no backsies. No, that's absolutely true. But I think that some pyramid schemes do include, like, that's part of the verbiage where it's like, if you need your money back before you cash out, we will get you your money back.
Okay.
But that's still while the pyramid scheme is in its heyday and has lots of money kicking around to where they can. Because if they're just out of cash, obviously you're not getting your $400 back. But in my story, this is the closest like I've ever come to a pyramid scheme. It's the only time I've ever come close to a pyramid scheme.
So your buddy's in.
He's in.
Why? But you're not in, Greg.
Oh, heck no. No. Because we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But what was weird is I had two people who were close to me who were involved in the same pyramid scheme. And like I said, one of them, Crystal, netted $2,800 of free money, and the other one got in and got out without losing any money. Yep. But the big question is, at what cost? Because there's no free money. So if you do the math, there's 7 people out there. We'll never know exactly who, but those 7 people got screwed out of $400 each, and that's where the $2,800 came.
Yep.
That Crystal got.
Yep.
And my friend, that's the other thing. I like I said before, I'm like 100% convinced that I'm like 98% convinced.
Okay.
That this pyramid, this blessings board thing, that it was started benevolently. I am convinced that this is the most likely thing, that the people who started it got into it truly believing that it was just a way to help others while they helped themselves. That they just, like we said earlier, it's like it's this whole geometric growth that most brains don't understand, how quickly the entire world is going to run out of money if everybody has to pony up $400 and you have to recruit 8 more people to do that. So I think I don't think that they thought anyone was going to get screwed. I think that they were thinking the only people who might get screwed are the people who don't work hard enough to get more people to buy into the board. Like if you buy in and you don't have enough hustle to go and try to convince other people to get in, then you might not get your $400 back, but that's on you. The rest of us who are out there hustling, we're going to be fine. And then on top of that, I mean, in terms of just my theory of the benevolent nature of the origins of this pyramid scheme, I think that's backed up by the fact that they gave my buddy his money back. Because they're like, oh, we're not trying to screw anybody here. We're just trying to, it's blessings, man. This is blessings. It's just,
right. Don't imagine a conspiracy board in some detective's office. That's not what this is at all.
Right. But no, I don't think that they thought that was it. But the funny thing is, if you're making all the money, like again, if you've gone through this board like 2 or 3 times already yourself, you're kind of going, okay, I've tested it. This is legit. The world's not going to run out of money. This is going to keep going. And I think consciously you try to suppress, how is this a horrible thing? How could this be a bad thing? And instead, you're just going, and it's the pandemic. You're going, I'm making money. I need money because it's a global pandemic. My friends and family, they're making money, and that's good because it's a global pandemic. And you just don't realize that it's just a finite thing, and that there's a vast majority of people are going to get.
There was no shortage of bad ideas during the pandemic.
Good point.
As far as pyramid schemes go, that seems pretty garden variety for bad ideas during the pandemic.
We all panic shopped, and many people hoarded toilet paper very unnecessarily. But there was some bad. But here, getting back to your comment that I did not buy into this board.
Okay.
That is because and this is really.
Did you know instantly? You're just like, this is not.
Yeah.
You're like, babe, babe,
this is illegal.
Babe, you can't. This is not good. This is not good.
Right. Well, not only that, like I remember telling her, I mean, instantly I'm like, I've never seen a pyramid scheme. Other than like the ones we already discussed, like Ponzi schemes and MLMs.
Yeah.
I don't think I even knew what a quintessential pyramid scheme was before that. But as soon as she described it, I was like, oh shit, this is exactly that. Shit, this is 100% illegal.
Yeah.
And I was even worried, and I remember telling her this, where I was like, yeah, so let's say you get this $3,200. If the cops get involved and this gets prosecuted, there's a possibility, because this was a little bit naive of me, but I think it's technically accurate, is that there was a possibility that she gets her $3,200. She spends all her $3,200 because people get money and they spend it, and then the cops are like, hey, that was illegally gotten money. You need to cough all of that up.
We're gonna need that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you don't have it, and then what do? Then you're screwed. So, but like the reason why I'm saying it was naive is because I also know that there's not really enough resources in law enforcement to look at the likely hundreds of people who are involved in this scheme and go, okay, who didn't get screwed and who cashed out, and I'm sure there's not enough records even to piece that together. So the likelihood of that happening was pretty slim, but I still think it was accurate. But here's the crazy thing is I felt like an asshole for bringing it up. I felt like, no, listen, I did some thinking, and I felt like this is how I felt.
Recently or then?
No, recently, trying to identify what it was like, how I felt, and this is the best I came up with.
Okay,
is I felt like I'm that dork who's on an elevator where there's a little sign that says that the maximum capacity is 12 people, and he goes, excuse me, there happens to be 13 people on this elevator, so I'm afraid one of you is going to have to leave. That's what it is, where it's like, it's like, this is not okay. This is going to implode. You need to not do this. But they're like going, but it's not imploding right now. Everything seems perfectly fine right now. Why are you inconveniencing us with this information? Or it's like somebody, I mean, the other thing I was thinking, it's like somebody who walks up to a complete stranger and is like, smoking is very harmful. You should think about quitting.
Does that happen?
Yeah. My mom did it on 4th of July.
What?
So,
Are you
yes, she absolutely.
To a stranger? She walked up to a stranger who was smoking and told him that it was not good for her?
To a relative stranger. We had a little gathering at my house, and there was some friends that she'd never met before who were like, we need to go outside and take a smoke break. And she's like, I mean, again, my mom's the sweetest person in the world. So
sure.
So she was like, I used to be a pharmacist, and just so you know, I would strongly encourage you to not smoke. And my friends were just like, okay, and like, what do you do? But that's what I was, where it was just like, this is a horrible thing. And so it was just really weird to be like, this is bad, but everybody's going, but we're doing great with it.
So you're the wet blanket.
100% the wet blanket.
On this little blessings board party. And So what, were you ostracized? Were you like, what, how'd that resolve itself?
No, well, like I said, the way it was, because I said that immediately after I found out that what Crystal was involved in.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like going, you need to tell your friends and family, everybody's going to get screwed, that kind of thing. But I was like, no one's going to listen to the message. I can't deliver it directly, because these weren't like, we're not like talking brothers and sisters. These are more like second cousins kind of stuff. Because
gotcha.
So it was more extended family, but again, it was family that she personally knew. Like I said, it wasn't strangers, so there was no direct way for me to communicate it to them. And again, I wasn't like, I must talk to all of your friends and family to make sure that they understand the dangers of the,
right.
That felt, I mean, again, should I? Do you think I should have done that? Yeah, that's.
It's hard to imagine an intervention where you're intervening. The group is the one being intervened on rather than the individual.
Right,
like a reverse intervention.
Exactly.
Like that's a tough room, Greg.
Totally, totally.
And you've seen some tough rooms,
right? And I didn't even tell Crystal. It's like, hey, you just need to walk away from this because because again, and I didn't even tell her, I was like, stop promoting it on social media. She did do this after I told her the thing. She very much, because she felt obligated to pimp it out on social media because just the structure of how she got in. So she very much felt the obligation to her cousin and to her other families who were involved in the board to try to get other people in the board. But she definitely started she definitely had a different tone with her stuff than anyone else. Where if people like, hey, tell me more about this blessings board thing, she's like, hey, listen, think of it like gambling. You might not get it. So she gave him like a Surgeon General's warning before they gave their $400 into the whole thing, where it's like, you might, hey, if you need this money for rent, don't do this.
Please don't,
because you might not be able to. So I appreciated that, but that was really in terms of changed behaviors, that was really the only thing that happened right there. The other funny thing is, once Crystal did cash out with the $3,200, there was tons of pressure from the other people in these boards to be like, dude, you just cashed out. That's so cool. You put some more money back in another board and do it again. Because again, they got to feed this beast. So it's like, and like there was pressure for her to put everything that she just won back into the boards. So kind of weird with that. But the other thing that really amazed me with this, and going back to those videos I was telling you about, is that I am amazed at the power of social media to fuel these pyramid schemes, as I saw, because obviously pyramid schemes have been around much, much longer than social media. But when you watch people slap down all that real money, that is incredibly persuasive. Like I was like, maybe I should give I mean, I can't say that I wasn't like, I could maybe put in my $400 and get in and get out before the thing falls apart. It crossed my mind. But the funny thing is that you got to think nobody's going on social media to explain how after 6 months they're finally giving up on the $400 that they put into this scheme that didn't pay off, mostly because they didn't have enough hustle.
All right, Greg, did we learn anything?
Yeah, we did. Were you not listening?
Yeah, I was listening. But if you didn't catch what we learned, re-listen just to the whole episode and just maybe not at 1.5 times speed, right?
Right. That should catch you up.
Yeah, go down to 75% and just
listen to it extra slow, and then you'll figure out what we learned. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. Remember, essential oils may not take away your digestive issues, but if you sell them, it definitely will take away your money and your friends. And if you're doing it right, probably your soul.
And also remember, when someone at church asks you if you want to get rich, remind them that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is to make money in a multi-level marketing scheme.
That's from the Sermon on the Mount, man. You can't argue with that.
Word of the Lord.
If you want to drop us a line, send us an email at ohmyfraud@earmarkcpe.com. Caleb, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do so?
LinkedIn/Caleb Newquist. Greg, I saw you on LinkedIn the other day, Greg.
You saw me on there?
Well, you posted something.
I did. Yeah, I did. I think this week there was not just my once a week. Let's go through all my DMs. Let's actually throw something up there.
No,
you're right.
It looks like you got ChatGPT to write something for you.
That probably.
Yeah,
there was probably, or ChatGPT wrote something for somebody else, and they told me to put that on my LinkedIn.
Plug it into your LinkedIn.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what happened. Hard to tell. That's harder to audit than the 70% rule. But yeah, LinkedIn. I'm Greg Kyte CPA on LinkedIn. So go find me there. Drop me a DM. I will eventually find it and read it and get back to you.
Oh My Fraud is written by Greg Kyte and myself. Our producer is Zach Frank. Rate, review, and subscribe to the show wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen on Earmark, you can earn free CPE credit, accountant CPE credit, and actually, if you subscribe. If you get like a subscription, is it a subscription, Greg? I don't even know.
It's a subscription.
Yeah. So if you subscribe to Earmark for $129, you can get unlimited CPE credit, but the price is soon going up to $149. So don't mess around.
Yeah, get it now.
If you want to get it, get it for $129.
Yeah, and
do yourself a favor.
And I'll tell you what, here's the thing, Caleb. I have a subscription to
Yes.
Earmark,
Oh.
and because of that subscription, I as of literally, was it yes? Yeah, it was literally yesterday. As of literally yesterday, I finished my 80 hours for my reporting period, and my reporting period it's not over for 6 more months. I'm not trying to cram my 80 hours into the last 6 months of the reporting period.
Bam.
I'm like I'm just skipping and whistling for
Greg.
the next 6 months.
Greg Kyte, Pitchman. Well done.
Yeah, it was so easy.
Awesome. Well, see, there you go. Be like Greg, everybody. Join us next time for more average swindlers and scams from stories that will make you say, "Oh,
Oh, my fraud."